Hey everyone, so I'm here with Liz Castillo, who is just a super amazing human being, and I love having her in my life. And we've known each other from various communities, but we've really gotten to go in deep the last few months with your clear calling. And so I'm so excited to have you here, Liz. And so I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Yeah, Liz, so
Mhm.
when you were looking at joining your clear calling, what was it that you were struggling with specifically at that time that made you think, I want to join that course?
Uh, oh boy.
Got to go
Um,
back.
yeah, because I'm like, it's been so long now that it feels like this course has been a part of my life, and there was like a big shift when I started this work with you. That I'm like, I really have to like go back a few notches to remember like where was I? Um, there, I have been working on making music and creativity a bigger part of my life. And I knew I wanted to bring some focus to making that a bigger part of my life. Um, and I knew that I could take better care of myself in various ways. And I wanted to bring some more like structure and rigor to how I cared for myself and especially like energetically, right? Being in this whole past year in a small space with my partner all the time. And I knew it was feeling a little bit like we were getting tangled up and we care for each other very much. And well, I'm an extrovert and he's an introvert and I want to be like responsible in that way of like being like, okay, how do I take care of myself so it's not all ending up on him. Uh yeah, and I was in the middle of a long winter.
Right, this last year, right? There's been a lot that's been going on for everybody, right? With the pandemic and the lockdowns, and your job is tied into that a lot. Like, is it open? Does it not open? Right? There's been all these changes, and so yeah, I really get that that was happening for you. And I remember that being that spark for you, where you're like, why am I not doing more music? Why am I not being more creative and like
Mhm.
bringing that sense of joy back in? And so, what did you get then by being in the course? Like, what did you start to see? When did you start to see results, or what was like an immediate thing that you did get if you got it right away from the work we were doing?
Yeah, so the we had sort of like a pre-session, like a self-care pre-session back in December, I think. And um we started talking about routines, like evening routines and morning routines, and really being in an entire conversation about that and working with you, Nicole, and you saying like this is your work for the next like chunk of time before we get started with our official first session. I think because I was ready to like work and I was hungry and I was like, okay, what can I do? I could really dive into that and put my focus on, which really set up a strong foundation for me to start going to sleep at this around the same time every day, waking up at the same time every day, actually like slowly building a morning ritual, like starting with us just a little bit and building there, and also allowing it to be flexible.
Mhm.
Um, Something that was really important that made a difference for me and what you taught was um, is working really incrementally, like especially when it comes to moving first thing in the day and just letting and disentangling exercise and movement.
Mm, mhm.
And so then I could allow myself to really just move. Like some mornings as I sit on the couch and I just move my body a little bit. Some mornings I move a lot more than that. Sometimes it is a little more active. And I let all of those things, like no matter what they look like, check the box. And it's like, okay, that was a success. And when it's a success, I'm more likely to do it again and again and again. And um, I've been moving every single morning for like 5 to 8 minutes since late December, I think. And yeah,
That's amazing, which is 5 months, right? Like to look back at
yeah.
it. So really, right, which is a lot of time that since we took those Kickstart Your Self-Care calls, which is what you're talking about,
Hmm.
that those made a really big difference for you. Because we did that. We had like a month in between, right before we actually started the course
Mhm.
classes. And then you just started to do that, which is so powerful. I actually hadn't heard that from you because we haven't talked about it really that much since then,
Yeah.
that you were able to put that into place and actually maintain it.
Mhm.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. And then what did you get? So I'm curious for you what the experience was then working with other women and being in a group setting with people, some of whom you may have known and probably a bunch that you didn't.
Mhm. Um, there there was something really lovely about just connecting to some new people, um, and even having some people who are in different parts of the country, um, who I didn't know before, some of whom I did know, and it was nice to, like, get some fresh energy in when I'm, like, talking to the same people over and over again, especially in this past year. I do work with, mostly women, and what I realized in during the course was, like, most of my time, though, is spent with my partner who is male, and, um,
So you were
that's
sharing with us around your partner and being spending most of your time with the
yeah,
man versus women.
um, yeah, so I realized I was like, "Oh, I spend most of my time with a man," especially, like, I don't know, in that's who I spend my time in person with, even though I do work um, with mostly women, but it's different, like, being in a work situation than, like, a more, would I call this social? I don't know, but it's a growth situation, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it wasn't like we, like, talked about being women all the time, but there's just a different kind of space and energy being held, and a similarity that I could see in how I am in my life and how they like kind of the roles that they hold in their life that were similar. It's just nourishing in a really nice way to be in a space like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the conversations, I know the conversations were so rich, right? Because there's people who are at the end of careers, starting new careers, people who are married, who weren't married, people who are moms, not moms, right? Like I thought, and people who are
Mhm.
single. But I actually think that's what's so cool, right? You get to contribute this common experience of being a woman. And then, and like, and really, I always saw this very consistently that it didn't matter your actual life circumstances. Everyone is experiencing very similar challenges,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so it was really cool to watch. Like for me too, I love leading a group course because it's just so powerful to see those common threads. It doesn't matter where you live or who you are or any of those pieces, right? You're
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I'm challenged on this or this and this. And it was cool to watch. So
Yeah.
what did you, yeah, so I'm curious for you then, if you got what during the course itself, like were there any concrete results or what did you see for yourself from taking it?
Mhm. Um, I feel much more like like being more structured about taking care of myself. Like I feel much more consistent in like how I am. I feel more present than what I did 6 months ago. Like even though there, still things and days and moments that are challenging, I'm quicker to come back to center and say like, okay, what are my choices here instead of being stuck in the muck, if you
Mm.
will. Um, I also got the like clearest vision and goals that I have for myself. Like I've done similar work like many times, like doing vision, doing goals, doing vision, doing goals. Um, and these actually feel very like correct and clear. Like it felt like before, like I was like close or like got to part of it. And like through taking care of myself consistently and like checking in with myself and being present every day, I think that really contributed in my ability to like know myself as I was looking, okay, what's my future? Like what's important to me every day? Like what's working, what's not working every day. That allows me to really see what's correct for the future. Um, and so I feel like I have some direction to go.
Yes. And can I say these are the things I know that are going on for Liz, but like family and job and career, like seeing things that you hadn't really seen before about what you actually wanted
Mhm.
around those pieces, like wanting to have a family, like wanting stuff that you were like before you were like, maybe. And now you're like, oh no, I do want those things, which is actually a big shift.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've come to, I think, a healthier place, or like a more workable place in my relationship to goals, instead of
Mm,
being like, okay, this is this thing that I have to get,
mhm.
right? Coming from being like a, good at school, like all A's kind of student, like my whole life, and being on that trajectory. I'm like, okay, how can I've finally kind of unlearned that and been like, okay, goal is like I'm heading towards that point, and like the path may change along that way, and that's just what it is. It's not like there's nothing wrong if my goal changes, my vision changes. um there's nothing wrong if I don't get there.
Mhm.
It's just a goal, like I said, of coming from even like this culture of like, like, oh, I'm crushing my goals, like I'm like getting every single one. I'm like, I feel like it's actually rare that I
It's all good. It's all
I
good.
don't know what
I
that
think you were
means.
at the end. You were just like, I have clear goals and you're not attached, is what I was hearing.
Yeah, like it's, yes.
Awesome. All
Hmm.
right. Well, Liz, it's been such a joy to have you in the course and to be able to work with you this way and to see that clarity and those shifts for you has been really awesome from just your perspective as someone who's gotten to work with you deeply. And so thank you so much. You've been just a treat and such an awesome part of the community and connected. And I know we'll be in touch in so many ways.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks, Liz.